Hello everyone, welcome back. So we're going to do a little follow-up on this Coleman 226. And of course, as soon as I turn the video on, the camera on, the landscapers start cutting my neighbor's grass. Oh yeah, noise pollution. Get off my lawn. Alright, so Ron, I hope you're watching. I'm going to try to explain this, what I did as best as I can without disassembling the whole lantern, because I don't want to disassemble the whole lantern. So this was purchased on Facebook Marketplace. It wasn't working when I got it. And like I had mentioned on the first video when I showed it, I was working on this at night in my I actually said kitchen, but it was my dining room area, kitchenette area, whatever you want to call it. So I didn't really want to disturb anybody, and again, my camera stinks inside. So let me try to explain this as best I can. Let me pull this bail off, pull the vent off, take the globe off. Okay, so now this is different than any other lantern I've taken apart, okay? If I remember, I'm going to try to put some pictures in on what internally the valve looks like. But it has a little heat shield here. See if I can get this off without touching the mantle. So here is your heat shield, okay? And then you have one nut. What the heck? I'll take it apart. Part of the way down. So that's your whole frame and air intake assembly. And if you look down in there, that's your valve assembly, okay? And the generator sits right here. Hopefully that's showing up. And then you have your knob over here. And what was wrong when I first got it was, now this generator, you might be able to see right there. See that little dimple there? Hopefully that shows up. That holds everything inside, so you can't take it apart, okay? I guess for lack of a better term, the pricker, I guess it's called. The pricker goes in and it pops out right here at the end, okay? And that's what cleans this tip. So when you're turning it on an older model, you'd have this, which is called a tip cleaner. So that cleans that out in case there's any clogs, so the fuel could come through. So on this one, that was actually folded over, okay? So I fixed that, put it all together, and hoped that worked, but it didn't. What was actually happening was, when I'm going to use this as an example, okay? So the generator sits right on top of here. So that's right here, this generator. We'll pretend that this valve is that valve, okay? And the generator sits right on top of here. And when you turn the valve on, this pickup tube, this FA that's called a fuel air tube, sucks the fuel in, sends it up here. So when I turn the valve on, I would see a little bit of spurt of fuel, and then it would stop. So I cleaned the valve as best I can. I actually disassembled it, cleaned it as best I can. I put it back together, and nothing, okay? So I did some research online, and what they were saying was that this portion here, I forget what this is called, all right, but this unscrews from, let me get a, and again, it's a different type of valve. It has O-rings in it. It doesn't have this. okay, which is spring loaded. But right down here, there's a little tiny hole. Whoa, so off camera. So right down here is a little tiny hole. On this model, they don't have this cleaning tip, I guess you want to call it, that's spring loaded that keeps that clear. And what I was reading was they were saying that the problem that I was having sounds like that this was clogged, okay? So first thing I noticed when I took it apart is that there was an O-ring right here where this screwed in that was damaged. So I replaced that O-ring, okay? Then when you take this out, this part out right here, there is, hopefully you can see it. See that right there? That little clip holds the valve in, and you could just pull it out when you take that clip out, and there's an O-ring on there. And that's a fluoro something. You can't just use, you know, basic Home Depot O-rings in there. You need to have Viton or Nitro or the fluoro, whatever they are, okay? Again, if I could remember to put pictures in, I'll throw some pictures in. Okay, so when you take out this part, the stem part, you could pull out the whole, I guess for lack of a better term, the eccentric piece. Okay, so there's only 3 pieces to the valve body, the, again, don't know the names of every one of this valve, but the eccentric piece and then the valve stem, okay? And they each have O-rings on them. So the O-ring that was on this pickup down here was bad. So I replaced that O-ring. Again, blew everything out with carburetor cleaner, parts cleaner. I was getting a good flow of cleaner coming out, put it all back together, still had the same problem. So I went to the next step, which was, they said to take a sewing needle, the smallest one you could find, and to poke it into that hole a few times and then blow it out again. Okay, there was even one guy that said he had some very, very tiny drill bits and he drilled it out, and he said that worked for him. I didn't want to drill anything out. The valve assembly, if you can see, like this looks crusty. It literally looked brand new. So I took my needle, I poked it right into that hole, very gently, very gently, very gently, cleaned it again, reassembled it, and voila, it worked. Okay, so I'm gonna guess that, Ron, that's your problem. Okay, so you're gonna have to take the valve out, and you got to poke a pin into that hole. Okay, and then clean it again. Make sure all your O-rings are good. Put it back together, and it should light. So let me put this back together, and I'll show you how it fires up. I'm actually in the middle of editing this video, and I realized I left something important out. So this uses a number 20 mantle, which is smaller than the 21, which most of them use. So what I did, and again, I read this online, if you look inside, the top of the mantle is actually folded over. So what I did was, I pulled out the string, I cut this right here, just about, I left about 1/8 of an inch of the green. I folded it back in, and I took an upholstery needle, and I rethreaded the string. Okay, so instead of it hanging all the way down here, which it shrinks anyway, it's hanging that size, little baby sock. So that's that. And we got tons of lawn mowing going on out there. And the other thing is, I realized in lieu of putting pictures in, which I would have had to grab off of a guy's post on the web, it's better, I'm going to put a link in the description to the website article that the guy put. I'll give him total credit. Everything I learned from reading that article. He has some great pictures, great explanation. Ron, go hit that site and you'll see everything you need to know about this 226. So that'll be in the description. All right, back to the regularly scheduled program. All right, so I got it pumped up. We are going to turn it on. Now there she is. Spitting a little bit, but we're all right. It's a pretty little thing, Not a ton of pulsing. I was gonna originally I thought, oh, I'll pack the generator with some bronze, but obviously you can see I don't have to do that. So it fires up every single time now. I can tell the tip clean is working because you can see how you'll see it go in and out when you hit a certain spot. You hear that? So again, is this one I would take out with me? Probably not. It's not going to last that long. Obviously the tank is tiny. It's a single mantle, which that in itself is not a deterrent. But again, I think this is more of a novelty than anything else. But I'm happy to get it going. And there you have it, the 226. Let's see how long it stays on when I shut it off. Still got a little glow going. So there you have it, Ron. Hopefully that helps you out. If I ever get another one of these, I'll do a strip down on video. I'm trying to remember. I went through YouTube looking for videos on this, and I'll be honest with you, I didn't really find any that were much help. It probably would have been a good idea to do one myself. This way it was out there, but there was a lot of good information that I found on various forums. So again, hopefully, I always say this, I'm going to put pictures in and I don't, but I'm going to try to remember to put the pictures in that tell you the size of the O-rings and which ones to get if you need them. So again, taking a lantern out into the wild, the bush, whatever you want to call it, that's dependent on O-rings and Schrader valves and whatever, to me, isn't a good idea, because if something goes wrong with that stuff, you're not fixing it unless you have spare parts on you. You know, if you have an old 220 out there, you know, when it gets clogged, you could take the generator apart, you know, you could mess with the valves and clean them and stuff. I don't know. To me, it just seems like they would be more dependable, you know. But, you know, as manufacturing goes, they try to develop better ways and cheaper ways of doing things, which, in my opinion, brings down the quality most of the time. So there you have it, folks. The 226 explanation as best as I could do of how I got it running, and a little test fire. I hope you enjoyed it. You know I'm going to say it. I'm sending you all much, much love, my brothers and sisters. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you're doing well, and we'll see you on the next one.